A biotech startup promises robot-assisted head transplants in just 7 years. BrainBridge, a project by Hashim Al-Ghaili, a molecular biologist, blogger, and screenwriter based in Germany, is behind this ambitious claim. Al-Ghaili previously proposed the concept of a baby factory with artificial wombs a few years ago. His new idea involves a robotic system for transplanting a head onto a donor body while preserving brain functions. The startup aims to conduct the first operations in about 7 years. This idea, which seems more like the plot of a sci-fi thriller, envisions multi-armed robots controlled by artificial intelligence, delicately detaching a head with a living brain from its body, and transplanting it onto a donor body, connecting it to the spine, nerves, and blood vessels. Additionally, the startup plans to engage in cosmetic surgery, performing face and scalp transplants with minimal risk of rejection. I'm excited to announce BrainBridge, the world's first concept of a head transplant system that combines advanced robotics and artificial intelligence to perform complete head and face transplant procedures, said Al-Ghaili. This cutting-edge system offers new hope to patients suffering from incurable diseases such as stage 4 cancer, paralysis, and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. The medical community has responded to the announcement with silence. Similar ideas have been proposed before. For instance, Italian doctor Sergio Canavero promised to start performing head transplants as early as 2017, but only managed to transplant parts of bodies of 2 cadavers. Scientists believe that head transplants will eventually become possible, and BrainBridge might realize this dream. However, according to their predictions, it won't happen in the next few decades. Current capabilities of reconstructive surgery and implantation are mostly limited to very small segments, such as fingers or hand fragments. Experienced surgeons explain that head transplants are far more complex than any other surgery, because doctors are dealing with not just a single nerve to be stitched, as in finger or limb segment replantation, but with the spinal cord, which consists of a vast number of individual nerves. Thus, nerve impulses do not travel through the spinal cord as a whole, but through specific formations called bundles, and so on. For functionality, thousands or even tens of thousands of these formations need to be stitched together precisely. But connecting the spinal cord is far from the only problem. Even if this stage of the operation is successful, the next challenge is restoring adequate blood supply to everything in the head. After that, 12 pairs of cranial nerves, which are separate from the spinal cord, must be stitched. These are not trivial nerves. They control vital organ functions like heartbeats and diaphragm and intercostal muscle movements, which are crucial for breathing. So the spinal cord is only half the challenge in this whole process because vital organ functions come next. If a person suffers from a cold facial nerve, half of their face just hangs and loses the ability to move. In some cases, if there is traumatic nerve damage, such as to the facial or trigeminal nerves, the damage can be permanent, and nothing can be stitched to restore function. The ethical aspect of the issue also comes into play. Essentially, a brain transplant equates to transplanting an entire body. This raises the question, should the life of one person be saved using a whole donor body, or should the organs of that donor be distributed to save several people? On the other hand, the brain is such a complex organ that any disruptions could lead to rejection and the theoretical patient's death. Theoretically, the brain can be transplanted along with the head, without extracting it from the skull. Experiments on animals where a second head was transplanted have already been conducted. However, most of these animals lived for only a few hours to a few days. In the most unique cases, such animals lived for a couple of months. Some transplantologists have previously stated that human brain transplants are a matter of the near future. But I don't think any surgeon or scientist would undertake it. "I don't believe it will happen," said Frederick Meyer, a neurosurgeon at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, USA. So, let's see if the biotech startup led by Al-Ghaili can solve all these problems and achieve the world's first robot-assisted head transplantation in 7 years. Share your opinions in the comments. Do you think it's possible to revolutionize medicine by transplanting a human head? And now let's move on. But as we mentioned earlier, the head transplant project is far from the only crazy project on Hashim Al-Ghaili's list. Recently, the scientist introduced the world to the project EctoLife, representing a genuine factory for producing humans, or a human farm, whichever term you prefer. According to Al-Ghaili, who is leading this ambitious project and shared details of this unique development in an interview with Science and Stuff, the concept could become a reality within the next few years. The EctoLife project is a large-scale enterprise where human embryos will be grown to order in special capsules, artificial wombs. One such factory will include 75 laboratories equipped with high-tech devices, each capable of housing up to 400 artificial wombs. This massive facility can produce 30,000 babies per year. Embryos in the farm will be accessible around the clock. Additionally, parents will be capable of constantly monitoring the condition and development of their child, including live video streaming from the artificial womb via a special mobile application from anywhere in the world. An alternative option offered by the EctoLife project is to place the artificial womb directly in the parent's home, allowing the embryo to be grown in a domestic environment. Conception of the child before the embryo is placed in the artificial womb will occur via in vitro fertilization, artificial combination of female and male gametes outside the mother's body. At this stage, parents can choose the most viable and genetically perfect embryo for further development. Despite the seemingly fantastical nature of this possibility, Mr. Al-Ghaili emphasized that similar technology has already helped scientists eliminate genetic mutations associated with heart conditions in human embryos. Artificial intelligence will play a significant role in the growth of these children. It will be responsible for providing each embryo with an individualized nutrient mix, tailored to the specific needs of each child. The technology will also allow the composition of the artificial amniotic fluid to be changed depending on the situation. Additionally, artificial intelligence will monitor the development of the children and report any abnormalities in the embryo's condition. Moreover, the new technology will enable immediate treatment of any pathologies in the future child without risk to the mother. Another major advantage of the human conveyor is the ability to conduct experiments on embryos if necessary. For instance, Mr. Al-Ghaili noted that during the 9 months of pregnancy, a child does not have enough time to fully develop. The mother's body expels the fetus prematurely because it cannot withstand the further strain, leaving the newborn helpless for a long time. However, growing the embryo outside the mother's body might overcome this limitation. Parents will have the opportunity not only to monitor the condition of their future child through an application, but also to fully experience what the embryo sees and hears inside the artificial womb. The capsule is equipped with 360-degree cameras, and the video and sound are transmitted to a virtual reality headset. Additionally, the artificial womb is fitted with speakers through which parents can talk to the child or play music and word sets, allowing the child to interact with the surrounding world and become familiar with their family even before birth, just as they would during development in the mother's womb. The birth of the child in the case of artificial gestation will occur without unnecessary drama, simply with the push of a button. The amniotic fluid will drain from the artificial womb, and the child will come into the world. The baby factory could help many couples facing reproductive challenges, who for various reasons do not wish to adopt a child. Furthermore, artificial embryo growth minimizes health risks for women, preventing complications during pregnancy, miscarriages, and maternal deaths during childbirth. The project's developers have also taken environmental sustainability into account. EctoLife laboratories will operate on renewable energy sourced from the sun and wind. In light of recent scientific advancements, the EctoLife project no longer seems like science fiction.